There are a bunch of games coming out in 2024, and who has the time to play them all? It's the Dove here to give you a list of major titles coming out this year. Let's start with Tekken 8, which will be releasing on January 26 on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. Until I recently played Sifu, fighting games weren't really doing it for me anymore. Sure, as a young gamer, I enjoyed the likes of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, but the first time I played Tekken, I was just blown away. The series has been consistent with their games and has a great cast of characters. It has been since 2015 since the last Tekken came out, and frankly, I don't mind when a series takes some time off from churning out the same old, same old. It gives fans time to miss the game, and it gives the developers time to come up with new ideas and utilize newer hardware to improve the game's overall performance. This installment comes with 32 characters. Only 3 will be new to the series though. But the jump to the next gaming engine and console generation means smoother gameplay and more brilliant visual effects. The game is focused on aggressive, fast-paced, hard-hitting combat, just what most fighting fans are looking for to get the blood pumping. One big addition to the game is Arcade Quest, a new online mode that lets the user select an avatar and then compete in online one-on-one matches or in tournaments. I think this will keep a lot of people playing the game long-term with the online element, but I never really feel like the timing is quite right with online fighting. The delay always screws with me more than it helps me, but for those who enjoy the online fighting experience, I think this will be a good one. Check out Tekken 8 on January 26th on the PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Skull and Bones was set to release what seems like annually for the last 5 years, but it finally seems set to come out on February 13th. Assassin's Creed Black Flag didn't introduce the ship combat to the series of Assassin's Creed, but it did make it a lot more fun than Assassin's Creed 3. Black Flag's combat and pirate vibe really worked for gamers, so Ubisoft started work on Skull and Bones. Flash forward a decade and we might have a finished game. The beta tests were a bit mixed, with some really enjoying the realistic graphics and high-fidelity sound, and others worried this will just turn into a daily quest grind with no real endgame in sight. But the combat seems to get the highest praise, which should be the heart of the game. There are both single-player and multiplayer versions of the game in case you don't have an internet connection that can support a quality online experience. But the game is focused on the live service multiplayer aspect, so keep that in mind if you want to buy this game. Either way you play, you can customize your character, the ship, abilities, and the crew. Then you set sail on the dangerous Indian Ocean of 1721 and try to become the best damn pirate in history. I am extremely skeptical of this one. When a focus is live service and it has been in developmental hell for about a decade, I just don't have a lot of faith. You can barely explore this beautiful, realistic world they create because your character can only leave the ship in specific locations. Not the immersion you can get with the detailed worlds of Assassin's Creed. But I have been wrong a lot, so let's hope this one proves me wrong. Skull and Bones comes out February 13th on Xbox Series, PS5, PC, and Luna. Another game from a developer I respect that has me a bit worried, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Just like Skull and Bones, this has been in developmental hell for a long time. And because of that, I really feel like they missed the mark on the whole superhero craze. One reason for the delay is that a leak in early 2023 revealed gameplay that illustrated how much of the game was going to focus on the game-as-a-service element, aka pay-to-play. After the outrage, Rocksteady retooled the game a bit and came back with what they've shown us. Now, they haven't commented too much on the game-as-a-service aspect, but here's what they have. The new gameplay looks sharp and something a lot closer to Arkham Knight Trilogy, although focused on guns and distance weapons. You play as one of 4 supervillains that have to take on the Brainiac-controlled Justice League. Harley Quinn, King Shark, Deadshot, and Captain Boomerang make up the game's initial cast, with comments from the game's developers suggesting more characters to be added down the line. Now, I really hope they add characters, because if I had to pick 4 characters I did not want to play as in an action game, I'd say 3 of them are in the main cast here. Of course, these are my humble opinions, so take that last comment with a grain of salt. I want this to be a fun nod to Arkham Knight, but part of the fun of the trilogy was the hand-to-hand combat. The other part was how immersive the games felt with their lore and the overall story they told. Suicide Squad takes place in the same universe as the Arkham trilogy, so let's hope they build off that rather than harm it. Starting January 30th, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will be available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. Star Wars Outlaws is another game coming from Ubisoft this year. With no definitive date set as of this video, all signs point to late 2024 as their release window. This is a third-person, open-world action-adventure game set between the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, where you play as Kay Vess, who is an outlaw. Kay is working her way through the seedy underbelly of the galaxy's criminal syndicates. Now, I want to point out the developers have stressed multiple times that this is to be a non-Jedi and Sith game. I admit there is some appeal to that kind of game, but if you are looking for lightsabers and double jumps, then just heads up, this is not for you. This to me looks more like a Han Solo or the Scoundrel vibe, if you will. Just space cowboys, essentially. Now, Ubisoft creates some amazing worlds, and I am excited to see what they can bring to a franchise like Star Wars. Their third-person open-world games are where they shine, and if they can let players have the freedom they want, then this game could be a hit. If this just becomes another Star Wars Bandit-style game with a bunch of pointless tasks, well then I think it will fizzle out like many half-baked Star Wars games that came before it. Even though the developers are trying to distance Outlaws from the main Star Wars saga storylines, it still is in that universe, which begs the question, why be in that universe to begin with? Maybe the game will answer that very question. So check out Star Wars Outlaws on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC later this year. This next one is a game I have personally been excited about for a couple years now. Announced in 2018, Avowed will be the first major release Obsidian will have since Outer Worlds and the Microsoft acquisition. Avowed is a first-person action RPG along the likes of Skyrim or the Elder Scrolls universe. Remember how Obsidian made one of the best Fallout games with New Vegas? Well, now they are taking a crack at the fantasy genre. I have always enjoyed the way Obsidian opens up their games for choices to have consequences. Alliances, dialogue options, and of course actions all have something to do with how the game will play out. And to me, that makes these games another level of RPG. A true role-playing experience where you can have a different experience each time through the game. The trailers for this game look dark, yet bright and vibrant with magic and fire. The action looks fast-paced and intense. The world that they create seems deep with detail and life. And as long as Obsidian brings their hallmark of social commentary, along with a wide array of dialogue, this game could be one of the best of 2024. Avowed will be available on Xbox Series and PC, and is scheduled for a 2024 release. And last but certainly not least to me, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, aka Disc 2 to the Final Fantasy VII reboot. I grew up playing the original Final Fantasy VII, and it was one of those long journeys that are hard to forget. The initial reboot had me worried that they wouldn't be able to bring that turn-based gameplay into the current generation of gaming, and I was dead wrong. The combat is a bit of a mix of normal third-person action with a dash of turn-based systems. The main idea is that each character will have to wait to unleash a special or use their materia in combat. So essentially a cooldown for each character that translates to the old turn-based combat. Simple yet elegant, if you ask me. The other part of the reboot that works well is that it is not just a simple reboot. If you pay close attention, things are playing out differently, and there are a lot of clues as to why. Whatever the true reason is, it seems that this reboot is connected to the original game. Is it a time loop? Is it a different dimension? Will the answer at the end of the new Final Fantasy VII finally connect all the games in the series in some way, shape, or form? I have no idea, but I will play the game through to the end to find out. This is only the second of 3 games to complete the whole story, so we won't have all the answers at the end of Rebirth. But hopefully we will have a much clearer picture as to what is going on. It took 4 years from Final Fantasy VII Remake to Rebirth, so the next game might very well be on PS6. Side note, rumors from Phil Spencer himself indicate that Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth might release on Xbox later on, but no dates were mentioned. Maybe old Phil should follow suit and let some Xbox exclusives port to PlayStation, but we know that greedy bastard won't. Anyhow, on Leap Day, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be available exclusively on the PS5. These are just a list of some of the biggest titles coming out. There are plenty of games coming out this year to get excited about, and I just don't have time to play them all. So let me know what you are excited about down in the comments. Folks, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like more content like this. For even more content, go to twohatsandabeard.com or check out our YouTube page. Until next time, this is the Dove.